What's going on? This is the Objective Jerk, and I am said jerk. How's everybody doing? It's been like about a week, I think, since I recorded the podcast. God, there always this popping sound. I don't know what it is. There's something that's turning off. Oh, you know what? It's my Coca-Cola fridge. That's what it is, I think. I just realized it. Because it turns on the compressor, not compressor, but the whatever it is, the cool, to keep it cold. So it doesn't run constantly. It keeps it at a temperature. When it drops, it turns on. So that's what it is. Because I was just hearing that. It went off, and then I heard the little popping sound. I got to get rid of that thing anyway. That thing sucks power, electricity. It's kind of nice to have, but we got to get a different fridge. Just old fridges use so much electricity. Yeah, I'm drinking coffee. I just kind of, in the moment, I guess, I was just kind of getting ready to get some stuff done, and I was just like, man, I haven't really recorded a podcast, so I don't really have anything that's like pressuring me or that's kind of, bugging me to talk about or anything like that. Other than the retardness of the liberal media in the funeral with Trump and the color of the suits. It's like, and they sit there and try and be like, oh, Trump is ruining media. It's like, no, you're ruining yourself because you are unethically biased and evil and just everything, that's why no one trusts the media. Because I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched the funeral, right? I saw Trump. I was like, oh, hey, there's Trump. And you can see people have blue suits all over. It's mostly black, but people have like the dark blue suits. And then, if a cloud kind of covered the sun a little bit, it would be less prominent or whatever like that. And then you just see on like the news and social media, like, oh, Trump couldn't even do the dress code that was requested that everybody wear black. Dude, tons of people were wearing the dark blue navy suits. So it's that crap right there, man. It's like, and they're like, why does nobody like us? Liberals are fucking stupid. You are stupid. I'm sorry. It's just, I just can't even, I have family that are liberal and, I give them little hearts and hi and this and that, and I'm nice, but I think they're retarded. But you don't choose your family, right? Except for your immediate family, I guess. I make them, but anyway. Let's see. So Sunday we went and did some campaigning because right now it's like the elections for everything. I don't even know what he's running for. There's like, you obviously have mayor and it's just all the local offices. So you have mayor, vice mayor, and city council people, and just all these different whatever political positions of power that you have to be voted into. So there, that's going on right now, and so there's just banners all over the place. Just you go out into the neighborhoods, which is like the farmlands, kind of the more rural areas, and they're just everywhere. I hope they really do clean them up. But so that's kind of what we did. There's a gentleman here that I've become acquainted with. We're not like, we don't hang out, but I see him and we talk briefly and this and that, and he seems like a nice guy, and he's running for like a city council or something. But I guess he's the incumbent, so he's the councilman right now, so he's running for his last term or whatever. So we like the guy and his family and stuff like that. Some of his children go to school with my son and stuff. So we went around, dropped off little flyers and just, hey, little giveaways and stuff like that. And they played music and they put up some banners, and he wasn't there. He was, doing some whatever, but it was like it was his wife and his children. And so he's walked around and did that for way longer than I was expecting. I was thinking like maybe 2 hours, but it ended up being like 6 hours. So I I was just done. Because I kind of have, generally I get up at 4 o'clock and I'll get the kids ready for school, which is about to end now because their school year is ending. Or I'll go mountain biking. I'm supposed to go mountain biking today, but I didn't really feel it today. It sucks. But then, so generally, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening comes around, I'm like, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm like, it's time for me to shower, get in my comfy clothes, lay in my bed with the AC, and watch on my phone. Like that's how I kind of recharge and everything. So we started at 2:30, I think it was, and we didn't end till like 7 or 8. So I was really kind of spent, and then plus I was trying to be very, hey, and being very personable and everything, and which I can be, but it takes a lot out of me. And so, like, it's just not a natural. Some people are just like that. That's their personality. They're like, woo. I'm like, woo, and then I'm just like, get the fuck away from me. You know what I mean? So I'm very bipolar. And I wasn't really in a good mood, but I made myself. I was like, okay, we're gonna go and do this. I gotta be, friendly and this and that. And it's actually not hard here because everybody just kind of like looking at this weird, big, white, tattooed foreigner guy, And so they're all just like, hey, okay, they're like, what the hell is that? There's not a whole lot of talking between, I don't have to sit there and like talk politics, which I'm not trying to get into here because it's the same, but it's a little different. So it's hard for me to follow along with some things. And just like in the States, there's corruption here, but it seems like all the corruption is like on a lower level, little stuff. I've talked about it before, but there's lots of like politicians that will give out money. They're not supposed to, but they do it, But this guy that I was, campaigning for, he doesn't do that. I guess maybe he doesn't need to be in the incumbent. Maybe he did when he first ran. Who knows? I don't know. But so we went around. My wife and my kid, just my one son went, and my oldest, and we just give them like not shirts. I mean, I think they did have some. I wore a shirt, but sizes here in the Philippines is a small. So like an extra large here is like an American medium. You know what I mean? So I get on an extra large shirt and it's like spandex, and it's just like, anyway. So I wore it, whatever. And but then you give out. They had like some pens and some like a popular thing around here is like these little sleeves that help block the sun. Because a lot of people ride mopeds and tricycles and stuff, and they don't want to get burned or whatever, so they wear those during the hot time. I mean, some people wear it all year, I guess, but when it's really hot, you see a lot of people wearing it. And it had his name and everything on there, so they're giving those out and stuff like that. But I guess they didn't ask me, but I guess some people were kind of asking for money, But I don't know. But it was fun. But yeah, by the end of it, I was just ready to go home. I was like, I gotta go home. I've spent my charm and my being friendly and everything. I was done. So I did that Sunday. And then I don't know, yesterday I did a little bit of stuff, but I was just kind of chilling. I don't know. And then today I gotta get some stuff. Yep, it is the fridge because it just made the little popping sound and the fridge is back on. I gotta get rid of that thing. I don't think it comes across on the podcast, but I hear it and it just kind of. But I mean, now I know what it is, so that's good. But yeah, I just been kind of trying to organize the house like always. Gosh, one thing I got really irritated yesterday because they don't do appointments here. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but here in the Philippines, they don't do appointments like they do in the States. If you have a dentist appointment, you got a dentist appointment on Wednesday at 10:30 or whatever. You know what I mean? And if you can't make it, you call in. And if you miss it, you can be charged or whatever, this and that. But Filipinos are not good at punctuality is not a virtue at all with Filipinos.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for listening to The Objective Jerk. I greatly appreciate it. If you could like, subscribe, comment on wherever you're finding this, and you can also email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. So hope you're enjoying it, and please continue on with the episode. Like, they are just, you never know when they're going to show up. So they don't, so like I'll get a text from my dog, hey, you have an appointment, and it's on this day. There's no time, it's just today, right? So generally I do go first thing as soon as they open. But yesterday we had problems with our well, and I'll talk about that a little bit. So I got, busy with that. So it wasn't until like 11 that I finally was like, okay, I'm going to go to the vet. I texted. So I get like 2 texts, right? One is like, don't respond, it's automated. And the other one didn't say that. So I was like, okay, well, so hey, what time do you guys close for lunch? Because everybody closes for lunch. Not everybody, but most everyone. And I didn't get nothing back. And I was like, I'll just take him real quick. I think he's just getting like a quick whatever. So I go there and they're like, oh, hey, can you come back after lunch? Because they're doing surgery. I guess it was like emergency surgery. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like, it's not a huge deal. But it's still, it's just kind of annoying to get my dog, get him all ready and drive him over there, only to be, oh, hey, can you come back after lunch? Like, that shit happens all the time with other stuff. And I haven't even been to the dentist since I've been here. I actually had an appointment today, which actually had a time appointment. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We went to a dentist a couple years ago, and we had appointments at like 10 or something like that. 9, 10, right? So we get there and there's people waiting already. And I'm thinking, okay, the dentist is in the back, right? Working on somebody. But we're all waiting. All of a sudden the dentist shows up at 10, which is when our appointment is. So it's like you have all these people and their appointments at 10. But so then by the time we would get seen, it'd probably be like noon or something. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Like, how we left. I was like, wait, no, this is dumb. No. So I haven't been to the dentist since at all. I need to, though. And I had an appointment today, but I just was like, I can't go. I don't want to go. So I told my wife to reschedule it. My kid's been going there, and this dentist seems to be pretty good. So it's like a dentist that works out of their home in the town that we live in. But anyway, so yeah, so I was just like, what the crap? So I was pissed off. So I told my wife, I was like, you take the dog in the afternoon because I'm going to be kind of a dick. I know I will be. And I don't want to go there and be an asshole. So she went there and she explained to them, that I was pissed off and all that kind of crap. And they were like, okay. So they were just like, well, whenever you have the appointment, just come in like I usually do, which is at 9. Just come in first thing. That's your appointment, And I'm like, okay, that's fair. I guess they'll give me the appointment. I'll be there right at 9. And there we go. So that works, I guess. But it's still kind of annoying. My personality, actually, I need structure and have those appointments and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, I have to kind of have stuff to look at and know what's coming. Because when stuff comes up suddenly, if I'm not in the right mood, it irritates me and I don't want to go. I'm just like, So it's like, when I know it's coming and I keep telling myself it's coming, all right, here's Friday, then it kind of, just like the campaigning on Sunday, I knew I was going to have to be in a good mood and be bubbly and friendly. So, but when stuff suddenly happens, it kind of irritates me. And I think that has to do with me getting blown up because, getting blown up is sudden, So, I don't know. Maybe there's some truth to that, or I have no idea. But anyway, so the well, where are we at? Oh, I'm still good. Okay. So we have well water, which has been, pretty great, but it's a pain in the ass sometimes. So when we got here, they just direct from the well to the house, right? So you'll get algae and you'll get some certain things. It's not cool. So we put in just like a simple 3-tier like filter system for the house. So that's been there for like 4.5 years or something, 4 years. I can't remember how long ago we put it in. but it's starting to wear out and break down, and the so anyway, our goal is to completely upgrade our water system, right? But just not yet. We got to do some work, because around this time is like the dry period of the year. There's not a whole lot of rain, or there's no rain, and it's just everything is, the water levels are a little lower than normal. So sometimes we will lose water from our well because the water level drops below our pipe that's in there. So then what happens, even if it drops for like 20 minutes or whatever, and then comes back up, it puts an air pocket in there so it stops sucking the water. So you have to turn it off and prime it and everything like that. So that's when it gets kind of annoying. But so when we first got here, we had problems with that a lot. And so it got to a point where I was just getting pissed off. So I was like, we got to come up with something. So we had like a little tower built above the well, and we have a big water tank. And then what we did is we put a submersible pump, because we have a pump that's right at the top of the well, and it has a line that goes down so far, right? Well, we bought a submersible pump, which would go all the way to the bottom. And then, so no matter how low it is, we'll have water. But it doesn't, you can't use it like you do because our existing pump like runs constantly, right? Like it fills up our tank. Once it hits 40 psi, it shuts off. We use the water, it cranks back on, fills it up. So that goes on, 24/7, right? And the submersible one, it doesn't work as good that way. Like they're not meant to be that way. So it was in the bottom, and we had it to where, okay, if we ran out of water, then we would turn that on. And then, it'd fill the tank, and we would just use like gravity fed water for the house for the, the day, or because it wouldn't be, it'd be like maybe majority of the day or something like that. The water level would drop too low. So we had that, and it worked briefly, but then the pump was having problems. I think they stuck it too low, or they stuck it maybe like, I think they just put it too low, like into the ground, and it was just like too much dirt and mud and stuff like that. I don't know. But we only used it for like about a year. And then we kept having problems. So we had people come in, and they pulled the submersible pump out, which was an expensive pump. And it was like brand new, basically, they just kind of, and I think that's what it was. It got plugged and clogged and everything. But instead of putting it back in, we extended our pipe to our existing pump further down. And then we sold that submersible pump, but we still have the tank and everything that I gotta get rid of that so I can finish the well house and actually have a well house, because right now it's just like a well area, fills up with crap, and it's just, I don't know. Anyway, so since we did that, dude, it's been great. We haven't occasionally, the water will drop out, and you got to turn it off and prime it, and it's good. So I think it's just like, the water level will kind of briefly drop below, and it builds that air pocket, but then it's right there again. So it's been pretty decent since we've done that, and it's been 3 years at least ish, I want to say. But within the last week or two, it's just like it's been happening a lot, running out of water and having problems priming it. Like it's just not working. So I'm having to call this guy who's like our plumber. He's really good at what he does. He's put in some lines, like he's our go-to guy. So that's who we call. And plus he showed me how to do a lot of stuff, how to troubleshoot, but so I got to a point where it's like, I couldn't get it to work. Right. So he was here just a couple of days ago, and then again yesterday, or the night before, the water was out, right? So usually if the water's out, like in the evening, which is usually when it kind of seems to go out in the afternoon, evening time, we turn it off for a while, a few hours, and then prime it, turn it back on, and it's good. Or like overnight, if it's late at night, we just shut it off and like, okay, no water for the night. And then in the morning, the water levels up, and I'll prime it, and we're good to go. But that wasn't happening. And I was like, what is going on? So he came in, and he messed with it for a while, and it come to find out there's like a part at the bottom where the filter and everything, where it sucks up. There's like a little pump mechanism thing. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's at the end of the line, had rusted or got a hole or something was in it. So we had to remove it, and I helped him, take it out, and we bought the new thing. And instead of galvanized, there's the whole thing is like this PPR, white durable plastic type piping, right? And that's like the good piping that we're having slowly put throughout the house to replace PVC. And but at the very end of it, it has like less than a foot, or maybe about a foot, of galvanized pipe that connects the little whatever it is at the end, right? And so that really rusts. So he bought a stainless steel one, replaced that part, put it together, stuck it in there, and Bob's your uncle, right? We're good to go so far. So I think it'll probably be fine. But yeah, so we're gonna have to. So that took up the whole afternoon, which kind of screwed up my vet appointment and just kind of everything I had planned for that day. But yeah, eventually we're gonna get a better pump, because the pump is a little old. Probably a bigger tank, pressure tank, and we're gonna get like a better filtration system and a water softener and all that kind of stuff, and close it in the tank, and then just replace all the pipes and everything. Man, once that's done, I'm gonna be happy. That's gonna be good, because I have to change out faucets and stuff like once a year ish, every other year, because they just start to corrode from the water. So then if you use like a plastic faucet, that works inside the house but not outside, because the sun just breaks it down and it'll crumble. So outside you have to have steel, galvanized, whatever faucets, right? But they corrode over time. And then inside, it's like you want to have, plastic faucets in your house just feels like cheap, you know what I mean? Which it is, but it lasts longer. You don't have the problems. I have a couple faucets that are still metal and stuff like that, but like the one in my kid's bathroom is probably going to need to be changed out here pretty soon, because it just slowly just eats it away, So once we have that filter system in to minimize the hard water eating up all the metal, then it's going to be much better. So I don't know. So that's the life in the Philippines. I mean, they have city water, which we don't have where we're at. But city water is not always guaranteed. So a lot of people have city water, but they use their well primarily, and then something whatever, and then they use the city water. So generally, like more in town, in the neighborhoods, that's how they do it. And but we're kind of more in the farm, and it's just wells. Yeah, we could maybe have city water ran, but we'd have to pay a lot of money to have the line brought out here. And so it's just like, I don't know if it's worth it. So, but we'll see. So if you're looking to come to the Philippines, there's something to think about, I guess. My wife bought me this when she went to Korea, a metal Starbucks, like vacuum sealed cup. I have another one, an orange one that I use a lot. I'm kind of a coffee connoisseur, not really, but I like coffee. And I have a thing about coffee cup. I used to I'd see a cool coffee cup and like, ooh, I like the way that feels. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that. So I have a bunch of coffee cups, but they've slowly started going away because all we have is tile floors, and I've dropped a couple mugs and they broke, and I dropped one and broke one that was kind of special to me. It was one that my mom got me, and it was a really nice mug. I really liked it. I shouldn't have used it. I should have just set it aside, but I ended up dropping it and it broke, and I was so pissed. But so now I just you know what? I'm just going to use these, because if I drop them, it's not a big deal. It might crack the floor before these, probably not. But anyway, so that kind of sucks. Anyway, I think that's about it. I'm at my time. Hope you guys enjoyed my confessional, whatever this is. I don't know what this is. But let me know your thoughts. Hit me up with the email, theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. All is good. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. God bless. I'll see you next time. All right. Bye. You just put yourself through another episode of The Objective Jerk. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Please email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, comment wherever you find this, follow. It all helps. But thanks again, and I'll see you next time.